Good day, viewers. Welcome to another biology presentation. This is your presenter, Mr. Mlenga. So in this presentation, we're going to look at the 2025 biology revisions for genetics. So we're just going to look at multiple choice questions, starting from question 1 up to question 10. So let's look at the questions now. All right, so here is our question 1. The question reads, what does it mean if an organism is homozygous for a trait? What does it mean if an organism is homozygous for a trait? A, it has two different alleles for the gene. B, it has two identical alleles for the gene. C, it has one dominant and one recessive allele. D, it shows an intermediate phenotype. So, if an organism is homozygous, homo means same. So it means that that organism, okay, has two identical alleles for the gene. So the correct answer here is a B. So we now move on to our question 2. So this is our question 2. A heterozygous genotype consists of dash. A, two dominant alleles. B, two recessive alleles. C, one dominant and one recessive allele. D, no alleles. So hetero means different. So heterozygous genotype, it consists of two different alleles. So one allele will be dominant while the other one will be recessive. So the correct answer here is C. So we now move on to our question 3. So here is our question 3. The question reads, which allele is expressed in a heterozygous individual? Which allele is expressed in a heterozygous individual? A, only the recessive allele. B, only the dominant allele. C, both alleles equally. D, neither allele. So just like we have said, heterozygous means they are having two different alleles. So one allele is dominant while the other one is recessive. So for that recessive, for the dominant allele, is the one that is going to be expressed more in the phenotype. Then the recessive one will be overshadowed. So looking at the question, which allele is expressed in a heterozygous individual? So only the dominant allele is going to be expressed. So our correct answer here is a B. So we now move on to our fourth question. So question 4 reads, if a trait is recessive, when will it be expressed in an organism? If a trait is recessive, when will it be expressed in an organism? A, only when the organism is homozygous dominant. B, only when the organism is heterozygous. C, only when the organism is homozygous recessive. D, always regardless of the genotype. So according to the question, if a trait is recessive, when is it going to be expressed in an organism? So like I've said in the previous question, if you're having the heterozygous genotype, the dominant one is the one that is going to be expressed more than the recessive one. Now, if we look at homozygous, we have homozygous dominant, we also have homozygous recessive. So for homozygous dominant, it means that it's having two alleles that are dominant. Then for homozygous recessive means that it's having two alleles that are recessive. So the trait for a recessive will only be expressed when the organism is homozygous what? Recessive. So our correct answer is a C. We now move on to our next question. So this is our question 5. Which of the following genotypes represents a homozygous dominant individual? A, B, So the first one that we have is dominant, homozygous dominant, because both alleles are dominant. Okay. Then for B, we have heterozygous because one allele is dominant, the other one is recessive. Then for C, we have homozygous recessive because these two alleles are recessive. They are written in small letters. Then D, we have AB. Okay, we have AB, which is this one, heterozygous AB. Now, the question is saying, which of the following genotypes represents a homozygous dominant individual? So the homozygous dominant individual will be presented by two alleles, which are going to be both the dominant, which is A. So this is our correct answer. We now move on to our question 6. So here is our question 6. The question reads, in a cross between two heterozygous parents, which are having these alleles, they are heterozygous, what is the probability of the offspring being homozygous recessive? So now, we want to look at a cross, and this cross is between two heterozygous parents. So this is their genotype. They are heterozygous, meaning that they are having different alleles, as you can see. So I want to cross this. So now I want to see the probability of the offspring being homozygous recessive, which is going to have this one, okay? So let's see. We are going to come up with the parental this is the parental genotype. Then we can cross so that we come up with the percentage. So you can see when we cross the first allele with this first allele, we are going to have homozygous dominant AA. Then this allele, we cross it with this one, we are going to have heterozygous genotype, as you can see, capital letter A and the recessive one. Then again, we come to this one, we cross it with this one. We are going to have again another heterozygous genotype. Then we cross this one, we cross it with this one. We are going to have the small letter A, which is the homozygous recessive. Now the question is saying, what is the probability of the offspring being homozygous recessive? So since here we have homozygous recessive, as you can see, both alleles are written in small letters for the last offspring here, where my mouse is pointing. So now, what you are going to do is, you count the total number of offsprings. There are 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, we are going to take the offspring, which was having the homozygous recessive genotype, which is this offspring. And the how many? It's just 1. So, say probability is equal to 1 out of 4 times 100%. This will give us a 25%. So, the correct answer here is C. It's a B. Okay, so we have answered our question 6. We now move on to our question 7. So this is our question 7, guys. I hope it's clear. Don't free, if you have questions, you are free to comment in the comment section. I'll be able to respond to you. Please make sure that you also invite your friends to join or subscribe to my channel so that they can taking note of every new content that I'll be uploading both in biology and mathematics. So we are now answering our question 7 here. Our question 7 reads, if a dominant allele produces brown eyes and the recessive allele produces blue eyes, what phenotype will a person with the genotype BB have? So here we are looking at the dominant allele. So dominant allele is being presented by this capital letter B. It's dominant, okay? It produces brown eyes. So this dominant allele is for normal brown eyes. Then we have a recessive allele being presented by a small letter B. And this recessive allele produces blue eyes. So meaning that this one will be producing the blue eyes. Okay? In this case, you can consider the blue as defective. This one for B, for brown, is normal, for dominant. So the question is, what phenotype will a person with the genotype, this genotype, which is heterozygous, have? So we have a dominant and a recessive. So if you have noticed what we have discussed in the previous questions, we have said the dominant allele is expressed more in the phenotype. So this recessive one will be overshadowed by the dominant allele for B. And this dominant allele for B is presenting what? Brown eyes. So the phenotype that a person with this genotype, capital letter B and small letter b, is going to have brown eyes, because brown eyes is dominant while blue eyes is recessive. So blue eyes is going to be overshadowed by brown eyes. So our correct answer here is C, a B, brown eyes. So we have answered our question 7. We now move on to our question 8. So this is our question 8, guys. The question reads, which of the following crosses will produce only heterozygous offspring? Which of the following crosses will only produce heterozygous offspring? So we have this homozygous dominant crossed with the homozygous recessive. We also have heterozygous again crossed with heterozygous. Okay, then we have dominant, okay, homozygous dominant again crossed with the homozygous dominant. So this one definitely no. because we are saying which will give us heterozygous offspring. So C, we cancel it out. D, we have homozygous recessive crossed with homozygous recessive. So even D, we need to cancel it out. Now we come back here, where we have heterozygous. For B, we have heterozygous crossed with another heterozygous. So we are saying, which of the following crosses will produce only heterozygous offsprings? So the alleles or the crosses that will give us heterozygous offspring, it's C, A. When we cross the homozygous dominant, we cross it with what? The homozygous recessive. This will give us the heterozygous offspring. So we move on to question 9. This is our question 9. A recessive trait can skip generations because dash. A recessive trait can skip generations because dash. A, it is always expressed in heterozygous. B, it can be masked by a dominant allele in heterozygous. C, it is never inherited. D, it is only expressed in males. So a recessive trait can skip generations because it can be masked by a dominant allele in heterozygotes. Okay, so the correct answer is B. We now move on to our last question. So this is our last question, which is our question 10. So our question 10 reads, if a plant has the genotype, this one, which is heterozygous, capital letter T and a small letter t for height, where capital letter T is tall, where this dominant allele is tall and the recessive allele is short, what is its phenotype? Okay, so this one is simple, just like we have said that if this plant has this genotype, which is heterozygous, so we have the dominant allele for tallness and we have the recessive allele for shortness. So this plant has this genotype, which is heterozygous. So what will be its phenotype? Remember, we know that phenotype is the physical appearance of an organism. So this plant is going to be tall because the dominant allele is going to overshadow the recessive allele. So the correct answer here is C, it's A. So I hope it's clear here. If you have any comments, you are free to leave a comment in the comment section. I'll be able to respond to you. Okay, so we've now come to the end of our short presentation. Thank you so much, everybody. This has been your presenter, Mr. Mlenga. Bye-bye.